Hello, storytellers. I'm going to do a storytelling run. I'm going to do a For the Lord RPG, how to make a character in For the Lord RPG. I'm going to do kind of all three. I'll start with Dark Ages first. Try to go through this really quickly because I'm going to do a bunch of tutorial videos on the different parts of the game. Okay, making a missionary. You basically choose kind of like a character, like the warrior, the clergy, a nun, a patron lady, nun of the early church. And, back then they could actually marry, but they went to monasteries and stuff, the clergy, though, generally speaking. You're not confined to that class, okay? You start off that way. You could easily, a warrior could easily go to a cleric. A cleric could start focusing on warrior, nun, whatever, I don't know, nun, stay nun. Patron lady. The strength of a patron lady is her social and she can carry all kinds of gear. And a person who chooses a patron lady, they can, say I get special wines, special cheeses. They can do stuff like that, and that actually gives you, bonuses to talk to people if you give them, things like that. So she can carry like kind of like almost anything that makes sense in her cart. So in each of them has it's like a suggestion. Each of them has a suggestion of what the main traits should be. Okay, so let me go down to the character sheet. So here you have your 6 character traits: prowess, awareness, savvy, spirit, intellect, society. Okay, that's where you're going to put those numbers: plus 3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. So like in D&D, this is the ability scores. So prowess, if you want to be a warrior, you want prowess and awareness, probably, because prowess is your strength and dexterity. It's actually like, how well you fight and stuff. Awareness is your agility, but also your perceptiveness. It's your being very aware and dodging and stuff like that. Savvy is for kind of like for especially for the Dark Ages, like criminal elements, like picking locks, figuring out things that are more technological, and being aware of being aware of proclivity of sneaking, stealing, picking locks, distractions, and disguises. Many of these savvy things could be like in society, like disguises. You could say it could be a society thing. Intellect could you could use things that are more intellect. The reason I'm blah blah about these traits is that every role will have a trait that you use for that role: picking locks, sneaking, fighting, shooting, persuading someone, resisting fear. You will pick a trait, you and the GM generally decides, but the player can also decide too. Like, I think that I should intellect because I'm focused on, role play it out though. You describe what you think, how you think. Like, for instance, say you want to make a disguise. I think my society should be the role because I know about these people. I know about this area, as opposed to savvy. Savvy is when you're very quick-witted, very like in a new environment, and you can catch on really quickly to things. Okay, it's a little subtle here, but in the apocalypse, in the sci-fi one, savvy comes into play much more because it's more like technology and stuff like that. It used to be, I'm going off the rails here. It used to be secrecy, but now I changed it to savvy for all of them. But anyway, so yeah, these traits matter in the sense that you will always have one of them for your roles when you're trying to do things. Okay, so you just need to be familiar with the concept of them, and they're sort of basic, but they could like, for instance, for climbing, you could use prowess or awareness. You can decide, because some people will use their strength and ability to, athleticism. Awareness is someone will know how to get, find the right handholds and be aware of their limits and stuff. So that's why, as a player and a GM, you can kind of move these around a bit. Now, during combat, prowess is definitely for melee, and awareness is for shooting and bows and stuff like that. And awareness, though, here's the thing: if you're throwing a big rock, I would use prowess. If you're throwing a little rock, to hit a target, I would use awareness. Okay, so those are the 6 traits. They're very hard to go up. So if you had a 3 here and you wanted to go up to 4, right, it would cost 7, the total of the 2 glory points to go up. So it gets expensive as you go. If you go from 4 to 5, it costs 9. 5 is, to me, the limit. If you go to 6, I don't know if I put it in here or not, but if you go to 6, you -1 from another trait. You can still raise that one later on, but you minus one from. It's like you're really focused on your power building prowess and athleticism. Thusly, your society goes down because you're not interacting with anybody. You're just spending so much time working out. So that's kind of what that means. So 6 and 7 is kind of like okay, you're getting that's a little wacky. Okay, there's that. Spirit, faith points. Faith points is your spirit. So you put it right here. If this is in my PDF, fillable PDF, which is on the website, if you put a 3 here, the 3 will show up here. That is how many points you have to spend for blessings. Okay, if you're a clergy, none. And a holy warrior will have glory, which is like the paladin thing. And each point you spend will give you an extra die bonus for something. Like for heal is a basic one. If you spend a spirit point, which is now called a faith point, on heal, this thing needs to refresh. Okay, if you spend 1 faith point, you will give one a D4 heal. Okay, because the dice are D4, D6, D8, D10, D12. They go up that way. They upgrade. You don't add more dice. You upgrade the dice, and that'll be another video. But that's how you use your spirit faith points. If you have heal, if a clergy has heal, they can spend 1 to heal someone and give them a die 4 heal. If they spend 2, they'll give them a die 6 heal. 4d4 to d6 will be a die 6 heal, d6 heal. Okay, and you get those per day. So for regular casual blessings, like when you're talking to people and role playing, and then for each encounter, you actually get those faith points. Per encounter, as long as there's a moment between each. Where you get a little bit of rest between each encounter. Your faith points will renew for that each encounter, and that can be upgraded. Okay. After you choose your traits, you can do your name and player and calling. Glory points is what your experience points, what you gain, and you have 2 numbers there. You're going to have like I have 84 total and I have 8 to spend. So 84, which is really high, is how many you have gotten throughout the entire campaign or game that you're playing, right? And 8 is how many you haven't, you just haven't spent on whatever. So keep a running total, and then how many you haven't used up to, like 8 here. I'm waiting to get 9 so I can go from 4 to 5, and get really powerful with my prowess kind of thing. Okay. Let's go to weapons. So gear, let's talk about gear and weapons. Same thing is here, the next page here. And for the Dark Ages, it's basically you decide what you think you should have, and try to be like sort of, I know a lot of people will like, well, let me get the highest damage and the highest armor save. But as a GM, I would encourage them, think about your character. Are they rich? Do they have all that stuff? Or are they poor and maybe do they just have little gimpy stuff, so whatever. So it's up to you. There's no like, here's your 80 gold and you buy whatever you want. It's just allow them to kind of create their character however they want. And there are advantages and disadvantages to each one that I've kind of put in here. And you can just choose a couple of weapons and then your armor. Plated mail I put it in here, but it's not really in the game. So I would never let them generally have plated mail. I put it in as just more of a comparison. The reason is that this is 6th century and they did not have plate mail at that point. But I would sort of say that some of the really good Roman armor could have been plated mail in a sense, like sort of a artifact, ancient, to find later. But it doesn't really matter, and I'll explain here in a sec. So you put down the weapons here. You put down every weapon and gear in this section right here, the gear and burden. Each here's the gear, by the way. The heavy gear, climbing, camping gear, cooking gear, medium gear, lantern and oils, perfume, charm kit, healing and medicine, light, thief tools, scrivener's tools, writing, sewing kit, torch kit, beast of burden, which is mainly for the patron lady. If someone wants to argue they have a donkey, fine, but the patron lady is the one that really has it. Now I put in 6 heavy and 14 heavy, but I very quasi allow it to just be whatever it makes sense, just kind of a makes sense thing for the patron lady, because the patron lady really has no burden because she's always has her donkey with a small cart next to her, so she's always got her items. So these items got to be placed in gear and burden, heavy, medium, and light. Now you can have extra gear as well. Here's the thing. You when you're going on a dungeon crawl or a combat situation or a mission, you should only have the gear that's in the heavy, medium, and light. The additional gear is like at your campsite or at the church, or something you can go get, but you don't have it on you. Okay, because if you have it on you, then you have a penalty to your every roll. Minus D4, minus D6, minus D8. The penalty is based on your armor save or minus D4. So if you're burdened, you have more than you can carry, you're at minus D4 for every roll. And I'll explain penalty dice like that in a later video. For the GM kind of handles that, not the player. The player always just rolls their positive stuff. If they have a minus D4, the GM will take that and add it to his, the numbers that he tells you to roll. So you as a player don't have to concern yourself with the penalties. The GM will do that. If you're wounded or if you have a burden penalty. So in each of these items, by the way, kind of has, its own sort of what it adds to skills and what it adds to things. Obviously, climbing adds to climbing. Camping gear adds to resting. Cooking gear adds to resting, and it can give you bonuses. Good meals can give you a bonus die for later on. And that'll be explained a little bit later as well. So you add up your gear, and armor, weapons, and gear all count towards this 2 heavies, 3 mediums, 4 lights. Okay? And you can have additional gear, again, but that's the gear that you say is at the camping site. So you can have camping gear and say, I'm just going to put it over here. But if you guys go into a temple, down into a dungeon, and if you're not carrying that camping gear, you can't use it. Okay. Blessings and skills is this is just area for both of those things. So you can use, you can just write down here both of those things. The skills. Okay. What are the skills, by the way? Let me go to that. Skills are anything you want. In this game, there's no list. I mean, there's a suggested list, I think, maybe, but there isn't really a list. There is. I put one in the APOC and sci-fi one, but I want you to come up with skills. I want you to think of your character as like a 17, 18-year-old who doesn't really have anything yet, their proclivities yet, or they might have some, but they just haven't used them until you reveal them, until you come up with them. So as you're playing the game, you might say, I want to repair my own armor, or I want to do sewing, or I want to work on disguise. Okay, write that down and start adding glory points to it and start upgrading that. See, so this is an open character who can openly start picking skills they want. And these skills will add to the rolls when you do these trait rolls, for different, to accomplish things. And so at the beginning, you can kind of decide what kind, like intimidate is one. There is a suggested list of skills kind of based off of the glory points. Let me go down to the glory points. So under glory points, there are types of skills that you could go up. The glory points section here explains all the different ways you could spend your glory points to upgrade things. But it doesn't have all the skills, right? I mean, these are just kind of things that kind of help the character out. Like aim, you have aim here. You can upgrade that. Everyone gets aim for free, like a one die. It's a die rank, a die bonus. So 1 die rank. If they're not moving, if they don't move that turn and they're shooting something, they may use aim. I even allow it for melee, I think. Okay. Oh, all range attacks. So you can upgrade that, and that whatever. Okay, weapons. You can upgrade your weapons. You can upgrade the to hit and the to damage on a weapon. Yes, and same with armor. Let me go back to the character sheet and explain that real quick, because that's part of upgrades and skills, I guess. Yeah, it is a skill. So here under weapon to hit, you can upgrade that. So a weapon, let's just say you just got a basic sword here. I'm just typing it in. The sword is based on your prowess. So let's say my prowess is a 3. I chose that I'm going to be a warrior. And the damage is a D6. Oops. D6. Okay. So I can upgrade this with it's like a skill and add a 1 DR. That costs me 1 glory point. I can upgrade this to a D8. That's right. Now that costs me actually 4 glory points. Or 3. From D6 to D8. Now, if you can see down here, it shows it really teeny, but this game is based off of die ranks, and I'm going to do that in another video. But D4 is 1 rank, D6 is 2 ranks, D8 is 3, D4 is D8 is 3, right? D10 is 4 ranks, and D12 is 5 ranks. So when you go up a rank, that's what it costs. So if I go from a D6 to a D8, it's a 3 to a 4. It's 4 glory points for me to raise it up, because it's just that much harder. As you get better at something, it costs that much more skills and professional time to get even that much better. Okay, so for obviously for the first die rank, it's just one die rank. It's just 1 for 1 for die ranks, which is D4 is the first die rank and D6. Okay. So you can add a bonus to your to hit, and you can even increase the damage of your weapon because you think, you want to start getting more deadly with that sword. And yes, you can even get that sword to be comparable to a two-handed, as far as a great sword, as far as your skill in it, versus someone who's a great sword fighter. And just so you know, I'm a let me go real quick. I do medieval armored combat, so I kind of am aware of how that works, or I felt it myself. Okay, all right. So that's how that works. You can upgrade those skills as well. You can also upgrade the skills of your armor. So let's say you have a D6 leather, right? You get a D6 whenever someone hits you and they do damage. You get to roll a D6 and reduce the damage by that amount. Okay. Now and that's leather or chainmail. It's chainmail. Or something comparable to chainmail. There's thick leather, hardened leathers, whatever. Well, I can raise that to a D8. It would cost me again the same amount, 3 glory points, right? Yeah. Oh, did I say 4? I keep 3 to 4. No, it's 2. This is 2, and this one's 3. So this one's 3. Yeah. So it cost me 3 glory points to raise it from a D6 to a D8, even for armor save. That goes specifically to that chainmail, and the reason it is because that chainmail is what you're increasing the resistance on. So if that chainmail gets destroyed, which you can, you lose those glory points. Okay, you lose all that because you're spending time fitting and adjusting and making that chainmail better for you. You're finding little places to add patches of, maybe pieces of metal or whatever. So that's what that refers to. Is you're making that armor specifically for you, fitted to you, being more effective. Okay, the defense of you is how easy it is to hit you. It starts with a 12, and then it goes up based if you have awareness. Let's say I chose my awareness to be a 2, so this will be a 14. And I type in here awareness, and then I'm going to say I do a shield because I just have a sword. So a shield gives me +2, and I do a basic helm versus a greater helm. So a helm will give me +1. Okay. And so that's 3 more. So this is now a 17. So it's very hard to hit me because you'll hit my shield. You hit my helm. My helm is very thick. It'll deflect blows. I do medieval armor combat. For me, a helm feels like a shield in combat. It doesn't feel like a getting hit and taking damage. Now I'm referring to a really well built made helm, not like a goofy little prop helm or something. Okay, so there's that. I think we're almost done. Okay, so vitality is very simple. It starts off first for men. It's 6 plus a D. I don't know if you can see this. D6 plus your prowess. And for women, those numbers are a 4. 4 plus D4 plus prowess. And generally, women don't have that high of prowess or vitality, right? So men are 6 plus a D6 plus prowess. So they'll usually get around between 10 and 16. Generally speaking, women will get what? 4. Let's just half this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 maybe. For men, it's 6. Oh, I wait. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, around 12. I've had some guys get 7 or 8. Hey. So what does that mean? That means you can, a couple of sword hits and you're dead, right? A nat 20 sword hit and you're dead. That's scary. Yeah, I agree. That's why you get armor and you get a defense, and you can die easily in this game. Now, just so you know, in my games, not many have died, and they don't always go fight. It's a Christian. You're trying to convert people. You're trying to calm the situation. But I certainly throw plenty of beasts at them, plenty of things. But they have. The strength is they have healers, they have blessings, they have protection, the clergy and the nun. They always have a fighter that kind of goes up front, that kind of thing. And I generally, as a GM, you don't throw powerful stuff at them. You throw small stuff and kind of build up from there, as you feel them out, right? They start Just like in any role-playing game, you start off with rats, or whatever, possessed rats, and then you move up the chain from there, wild dogs to wolves to wild boars to, other creatures and then bandits and stuff like that. So you kind of get a feel for it. You don't just throw heavy stuff at them. And as they play, they will learn, I got to get more vitality, and they'll raise that up. They'll raise up their defense, whatever. They'll get their blessings going. It's really important to have a nun and clergy there to help heal, protect, and bless people in the middle of a fight if they have to fight. Okay. So that's it. That's your character. Did I miss anything? That's it. That's your character. You got your vitality, you got your armor save, you got your defense, you got your weapons, your gear, your skills and blessings, traits. Yeah, you're done. Ready to go start evangelizing, planting churches out in there in the pagan lands. Okay, so that's really the video. I will do another video of the secondary stuff, but this is for the Dark Ages, I guess. Dark Ages, making a character in the Dark Ages. That's it. Here's the gear. I mean, the next rules after that is combat. I explain dice ranks in here and game mechanics, but I'll do that in another video. I just want to get the quick little video of the character sheet. Okay, that's it. In the game of life, people, you gotta start rolling holy dice. I mean, look at the world today. Let's get some Christian RPGs going. All right. Game of life, roll holy dice.